You are not lost. You've been hidden, and you have the power to go beyond the veil. Hey Celestials, welcome back to Beyond the Veil. Today we're talking about something that you may have heard online before, ego death. And I'm going to say this super clearly and super kindly. Your ego is not your enemy. In this episode, we're going to learn what the ego really is and why trying to off it can turn into a trap, and what you can do instead. Because here in the Celestial Grove, we don't abandon parts of ourselves. We learn how to love them into wholeness with wisdom. What is the ego, really? Let's make this simple. Your ego is the part of you that says, I am me. It helps you to remember your name, your story, your values, what you like, what you don't like. It helps you to say yes, and it helps you to say no. A healthy ego is not about being fully yourself. A true healthy ego is having a strong, steady sense of who you are. And here's the important part. If you don't have a healthy ego, it gets really hard to live like a steady, grounded person. It's harder to feel independent. It's harder to stay in control of your choices when your emotions get really big. And it's harder to hold boundaries. You're unable to know where you end and someone else begins. And it's harder to feel like you actually get to choose your next step, because everything will start to feel blurry instead of clear. So when people say that person has too much ego, they usually mean arrogance or rude behavior. But that's not the same thing as the ego itself. Why ego death sounds spiritual. So why do people talk about ego death like it's a spiritual goal? Because sometimes different teachings use the same word, ego, but they mean very different things. In psychology, ego can mean your healthy adult identity, your I am me container. But in some spiritual teachings, the target when they say kill your ego is not the healthy identity. The target is something more specific. It's that tight, sacred grip on a story you tell yourself about yourself. Here's what I mean. It's like a little sign or audio recording that your mind keeps playing over and over that says things like, I have to be perfect. I have to be special. I can never be wrong. I'm not safe unless I am in control. If you've ever had thoughts like that, you're not broken. You're just repeating a self-story that's trying to keep you safe. But that's not your healthy ego. That's your self-story getting stuck, like a wheel spinning in the mud. And when these meanings get mixed up, people start thinking, if I want to be spiritual, I must have to erase myself. But Celestial, that's not wisdom. That's perplexity wearing a sparkly costume. Integrate, don't defeat. So, if the ego is not your enemy, what's the real lesson here? Let's bring in a teaching from a story so that we can feel the truth. And I'm going to say the lesson first so that you can listen for it. The lesson is integrate your ego. Now, this is a story about two brothers, James and Joe. James loves to shine. James wants to feel untouchable, right, and chosen. Joe wants something different. Joe wants love that stays open, love that includes even what hurts. One day, the village holds a gathering, and the teacher walks in and says, "Tonight, I'm choosing one person to carry the lantern at the front of the procession." Both brothers were hoping it would be him. And the teacher points and chooses someone else. In that same instant, the brothers feel it. The hot drop in the belly, that sting in the chest, the same thought goes through their head. That should have been me. James feels the sting, and James decides that feeling means danger. So James climbs into his mind and starts building a story that keeps James on top. He tells himself things like, "I didn't want that role anyway. I'm more evolved than needing approval." He replays the scene and judges everyone in it. Who's awake? Who's asleep? Who's worthy? Who's fake? And then James walks away acting peaceful, while his heart stays tight. And for a moment, the jealousy will go quiet because the superiority covers the sting like a mask. But the mask will get heavy. The heart gets lonely behind the performance, and the buried feeling starts growing roots. Soon, everything feels like a threat to James because the jealousy never gets met. It only gets dressed up. But at the same time, Joe felt that same sting, and Joe makes room for it. Joe says inside, "Okay, jealousy is here." He listens long enough to find the real need underneath, to matter, to be chosen, to feel safe and to feel seen. And then Joe chooses a clean next step instead of a costume. He takes a breath and he softens his shoulders and walks straight towards the moment. Joe congratulates the person who got chosen. Warm, real, no hidden thorns. And then Joe goes to the teacher and asks, "Is there any way that I can serve? I want to feel part of this too." That's humility in motion. The feeling gets included, and the feeling stops driving. The moral of the story, jealousy always offers two paths. James offers the latter, holier than thou, shiny, separate. And Joe's path offers the circle, humble, honest, and integrated. Because whenever you reject a part of yourself, whenever you deny it, suppress it, or disown it, that part does not disappear. It gets desperate. And when something feels desperate, it tries to get its need met in weird, sideways ways. It may manipulate. It may wear disguises. It may even pretend to be holy or above it all. And that's actually one of the biggest traps. The ego dressing up as the transcendental self. The ego in its transcendental self costume rarely shows up as rage. Ego in that costume shows up as superiority. Spiritual language becomes its armor, and the human heart stays hidden behind it. Like, I'm beyond this. But celestial, ego that tries to prove spiritual superiority offers a very heavy costume. Real freedom carries humility. And when we say integrate your ego, we're not doing a dramatic battle. We're doing honest and intimacy integration, which means you turn toward the part of you and say, "I'm listening. What do you need?" You stop fighting it. You stop pretending it isn't there. And you stop shoving it into the dark. And you learn what it's trying to protect you from, so it doesn't have to hijack your life to get its needs met. The ego thrives with relationship. A steady bond with the ego turns that inner force into your ally. Teach the ego to soar like a running horse. So what can we do instead of ego death? We do something braver. We teach the ego to soar. And we're going to picture the ego like a running horse here. A horse is powerful. A horse can carry you far. But if you treat it like an enemy, if you hit it and starve it and you try to get rid of it, it won't become enlightened. He'll become scared. So here are 3 simple ways that you can train your inner horse with love. First, name it. When you feel that ego energy, just notice it. You can say, my ego's trying to protect me now. Second, find the need underneath. Ego usually wants something basic, like safety, belonging, respect, rest, or control. Ask, what do you need, little horse? Third, meet the need directly, clean and honest. Instead of pretending that you don't have any needs, you meet them in a healthy way. That's how the horse learns that it doesn't have to panic, that it is cared for, that it can run and even soar with purpose. That's real freedom. What gets in the way? Denial versus integration. Now, here's a sneaky difference that actually matters. The ego state often holds denial. Denial is when you refuse to see what's real. For example, someone may say, there's no levels, there's no differences, it's all one. And yes, unity is real, but an integrated state can hold both truths at the same time. There is unity, and there are also different levels, different choices in daily life. Here's what I mean. In daily life, unity can be true, and differences can be true too, like differences in quality, differences in fit, differences in what supports you, like shoes, rain boots, and flip-flops. They all exist, and each one fits a different situation. That's discernment. Water works the same way. If you're thirsty, you can choose clean drinking water from the store because that quality will support your body. Pond water has a different quality, so pond water calls for a different choice. It's not that you're judging the pond water. Discernment isn't judgment. That's clarity with love. Integration is like that. It's not denial. It's honest seeing plus love. Practice together. Mini ego integration ritual. Let's practice together, Celestial. Take a slow breath in and out. If it feels good, put one hand on your heart. Now gently say, Ego, I see you. Ask your ego this question. What are you trying to protect me from? Pause. Breathe. And listen. Now ask, what do you need from me that I can give you in a clean, honest way? Maybe the answer is, I need rest. I need a boundary. I need reassurance. I need to tell the truth. Or I need to stop pretending. Journal what you hear and feel. And now choose one tiny action. One small, brave, loving choice. And say, I don't abandon myself. I integrate myself. I can be imperfect and holy at the same time. Celestial, your ego is not your enemy. Trying to off it is a trap, and it can turn into denial, bamboozlement, and spiritual costumes. that are heavy to wear. The real path is steadier and kinder. You teach the ego to soar. You train it like a running horse with love, truth, and boundaries. And if you want to go deeper, visit celestialgrove.academy. Thank you so much for walking with me through the veil with love. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about something powerful. Your energy is sacred currency, and how to spend that currency with love and not let it leak. I hope that you'll join us. Until then, continue to walk in love, Celestials.